Hello, everyone, and welcome to our preview of the 2024 Paris Olympics women's semifinals. My name is Everett Delorme from Toronto. That is Rob St. Clair from Chicago, and we are here to break down what is going to be a fantastic pair of semifinals. We had a couple of awesome semifinals yesterday on the men's side with Poland and France moving forward to the finals, and today, Rob, we are going to have two other ones with the women's side going down. First and foremost, we have the Battle of the Americas between USA and Brazil, and then we also have the Battle of Europe between a couple of really friendly, or maybe not so friendly foes in Turkey and Italy.
Gonna be some good ones. Gonna be some good ones. I mean, I think Everett calling yesterday's semifinals amazing would strongly depend on who you ask, if you know what I'm saying. But
As a neutral fan, the semifinals were pretty good. Hoping for maybe more spiciness today. And Rob, with your United States women also playing in the semifinals here, your day may hinge on how they do.
you're not wrong. Let's start there, shall we? Let's start with semifinal number one, which very notably off the top, Brazil versus United States. This is a rematch of the gold medal match from Tokyo 3 years ago. 3 years ago, Everett, to the day, August 8th, exactly 3 years ago, the United States beat Brazil 3-0. I think that last set was like 25-14 or something convincing. And and I'll say we because I'm American, stood atop the podium for the first time ever. And that was an all time achievement. Now, since that Olympic Games, the United States women have struggled pretty notably. I mean, failed to medal at the World Championship, failed to medal at any of the three VNLs since, failed to win Norseka, which is pretty rare, having sent our top team. But we're back in the Olympic Games and we're back to peaking at the right time, using our Olympic experience and using the fact that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts for this American team. And the reason why I like this matchup so much as I try to pretend to be a neutral fan for a minute here, is that these two teams are kind of similar and they're both really defined by balance. And I think they have a lot of similarities and really interesting pieces of the matchup about like strengths as teams and individual position players that match up pretty similarly. And I think that's going to create for some amazing drama.
I think they have a lot of similar strengths in terms of how they spread the ball and how they use their offense. But um, in my opinion, player per player, I would give the advantage a lot of the times to Brazil, right? Like the United States does not have a player like Gabby Guimaraes
Nope, we do
on
not.
their team. They don't have a bona fide leader, that one go-to player, that one scorer that they can go to and to get the job done. Not to mention that when you're talking about balance, this Brazilian team is about as balanced as it comes. This Brazilian team's ability to spread the ball and use, whether it's Ana Cristina or Rosa Maria on the right side, Thaisa or Anna Carolina down the middle. This team, run by Roberto Ratsky in the middle, has been perfect so far. They've yet to drop
Literally perfect.
they've yet to drop a set, Rob. And once again, this is the only team to have ever gone undefeated over the preliminary stage of the VNL. Men or women, doesn't matter. They are the
12 and
only
0.
team the only team to have ever done that. Now, they did come up a little bit short at the VNL,
Well,
finishing bronze. And to me, Rob, they're
not
on a bit of
bronze, fourth. They missed the
sorry,
podium. They
fourth. Yeah,
went
exactly. You're right.
12 and 0 and failed to medal.
Yeah, and I think they've already exercised both of those demons.
True
Uh,
in Japan and
but,
Poland, both
but
of whom they beat in pool play.
exactly, both easily 3-0. So, um, I really like this Brazilian team right now, and I think that this might be actually the worst matchup, in my opinion, for the USA, because I think especially when you're looking on the other side with the two European teams, they play once again a very similar style. We'll talk about that in a second, but I think with their style of relying heavily on one fantastic hitter would work better in the USA or Brazil's game plan to be able to be able to shut all that down.
I actually kind of disagree with that a little bit. I think the familiarity in style like presents an easier, I shouldn't say easier.
Yeah.
Uh,
At this
not
point,
easy.
in the tournament, Rob,
Nothing is easy. Yeah,
nothing is easy.
this
No.
is the Olympic semifinals, but I actually like this matchup a lot. And now, so we can we're taking a look here at some of the team stats. This is so far through 4 matches in the Olympic Games, and the immediately you see with Brazil first. This is like compared to the 4 teams that are still remaining. Brazil is dominating in many categories. Now that is because they have gone 12-0 in sets, and because they haven't dropped any sets, they have been so good throughout this tournament. You could argue at some points against inferior competition. You could argue that. I'm not saying that I am, but I'm saying you could argue it. Their stats are off the charts. I mean, first in kill percentage, first in attack efficiency, first by far in blocks per set. I mean, 3.75 is ridiculous. And again, by far first in positive reception percentage, like 65.4% positive, blows away the rest of the teams in the field. Again, Brazil did get to play Kenya in pool play. So I do think that
Yeah.
these are a little bit inflated, but Brazil, like the fact of the matter is, Brazil is playing unbelievable volleyball right now, and they're constructed pretty much perfectly around Gabi Guimaraes, not just her and the superstar that she is, and the world class outside hitter, and how much she contributes to that reception percentage. But then you have Ana Cristina, who's only what 20 or 21 years
20,
of
20
age,
years old. Yeah.
which is insane, and she's already like a legitimate world-class scorer and has like won championships in the Turkish league and club. And you have Rosa Maria on the right side, who's super balanced and can play that role beautifully well, and then Julia Bergman, who comes off the bench at outside hitter to contribute, and then if you need it, Ana Cristina can play on the right side as well, not to mention the middles, who have completely dominated all tournament long. So Brazil is basically a flawlessly constructed team, and there is not a single hole that I can poke in their construction and their play style and their balance and the way that they're playing right now. I will say though, they haven't really been tested yet. That the
N-
closest they came was that 38-36 banger of a second set against Poland in pool play.
Yeah.
And then kind of predictably Poland was unable to rebound from that second set emotionally, and 3-0 win for Brazil. But everybody else in this tournament has had to battle
Yes.
really hard to get to this point. And I'm not saying that Brazil can't. I'm just saying that we haven't seen it yet from them as much as the other teams.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And Rob, when you're looking at these stats, to me, it's very clear where the U.S. has to really focus their efforts at, and that's going to be in their serve game.
Yep.
Their serve game is going to be so paramount to getting Brazil off the net, to keeping them out of system. If Ratsky is able to release Ana Carolina and Thaisa down the middle, then that's really going to be important, especially with how they spread the ball out. Both these teams spread this ball out in the middle of the court. I talk about the middle of the court, Rob, but it's so
It's so
important.
important.
It's so important for controlling the pace of the game. A little bit less on the women's side because you don't generally see a pipe play coming in
I think you
all that
could
much.
from both of these teams, though.
I think you could, and I don't think it's out of the question. And both these setters are more than capable to be able to run that. But that this middle battle with Taisa and Anna Carolina against Abogu and Washington is really going to be fascinating. I think it's gonna get a little testy, and who can control the middle of the court is going to have a massive advantage in this game. And that's why I think the serving for Team USA is going to be paramount, because they need to put Brazil in the bad place. And you're right, those reception numbers are maybe a little bit elevated. They played against not so great serving teams in the group stage, like except for Japan, who's typically a fantastic serving team, except Japan didn't really show up. They didn't really ended up playing that game.
Not at all.
They were there, but they weren't great. And the same thing with the Dominican. So I'm very interested to see, can the U.S. put enough pressure on Brazil and break them. The problem is that when you're looking at trying to break this Brazilian team and that serve receive line, sure, like you do have, like as you said before, Ana Cristina is young on the left on the left side out there, but Gabi is arguably one of the best passers in the world, and the same thing with Nieme. They're both really solid, and you can bring
I think
Rosa Maria down.
you
It's
can.
it's tough.
I think that Gabi is the best receiver in the world, and that includes liberos. She is so unbelievable in reception. She can take up so much space that just because of how good she is and how you just have to avoid her serving, she changes the way that every opposing team has to serve against Brazil. And that really helps a young not super experienced receiver like Anna Cristina at age 20, because she doesn't have to pass even a third of the court. We're talking about a fourth of the court, maybe even a fifth of the court, because Gabi and Nieme can squeeze her towards the sideline so much in most rotations that they have a huge advantage in reception because they have two unbelievable passers back there who can take up so much space. Now, that is the key, I think, for both teams. Both teams have a pretty clear service target. For Brazil, it's Ana Cristina. The United States must target her hard. And on the same side, I'd say Catherine Plummer is typically the service target for the U.S. But if it will be Plummer and Avery Skinner starting at the outsides, which we assume that it will, that's a little bit more like two service targets and like two chances to really have some success putting pressure on American outside hitters. So while the U.S. so far does have the best error to ace ratio in the tournament, so we're getting the most out of our serving by that metric in terms of like risk reward versus serving aggressively. We have a smaller sliver of the court to serve at aggressively against I'm not going to say a weak receiver, but a relatively weak receiver compared to her teammates, compared to what Brazil is looking at on the United States side and targeting their serves. So
Yeah.
definitely look for that matchup. Is if either team can put pressure on that one, like more physical but less reception oriented outside hitter.
Yeah, Rob, it's funny that you bring up Avery Skinner because I think that she's going to be a huge factor for this American team coming
Totally.
here. She was massive. I thought she was really, really good in their semifinal win against Poland. She just hits the ball with an aggression that not many of the American players do. Uh,
Exactly what we need.
she just hits it with a little bit more aggression, and it's funny because like you consider her to be a young player. Avery Skinner's 25 years old. You know, like she's 5 years older than Anna Christina here over here. But I'm really excited to see. I think she's really just kind of grown into this role of being a starting player for the squad, and how she reacts in this match, I think, is going to be very, very interesting. I think it's really going to dictate a lot of the match because as you said, I think 100% she's going to be that serving target. Can she handle that pressure? And subversely, it's not only can she handle that pressure, it's can she handle that pressure and still thrive as an
Right.
attacker as well too.
That's the key.
That's going to be the key. And if she can't, we've seen Plummer maybe not put up some of the numbers offensively that we'd be hoping to. Can Plummer then kind of jump in? That to me is going to be some of the big questions. But
Yeah,
then
we got two teams that are really balanced, that are really good down the middle, like you talked about. I'm really fascinated by that middle matchup and how not only how the middles can get involved offensively but defensively. I think this is going to be a game defined by some seriously long rallies. These are two very good block defense teams. They keep the ball alive for a long time. And not only do they keep the ball alive for a long time, but they don't have, neither team has that Paula Egonu, Melissa Vargas, Ekaterina Antropova type scorer that we will see in our second semifinal. So out of system scoring ability, I think is going to define this match. The three wings on either side, Gabi, Ana Cristina, and Rosa Maria for Brazil, Avery Skinner, Catherine Plummer, and Annie Drews, who I think is going to be huge for the United States. Can those players score out of system in long rallies? And that's, I think, why Karch Kurai has settled upon this more offensively minded outside hitter pairing in Plummer and Skinner, not just because they can score out of system, but because they're willing to be aggressive enough to do so.
yeah.
And that's what I've really liked about Avery Skinner since coming in. You talked about her like handling the pressure and reception, still being able to be a factor in attack. I just like her fearlessness and her just ability and willingness to go up and take rips at the ball. I think that's kind of exactly what we need to end rallies, even if it results in some errors sometimes.
Fair enough. Andrew Drews, the fourth best scorer in this tournament so far, with 73 points. Gabi, the fifth best scorer in this tournament with 66 points. Both of them only have Vargas. Melissa Vargas had them, who's still in the tournament, but she has 116 points. So just to give you a little look at how some teams share the ball and other teams spread it around, that's a good one. Anything else to go over here for this match, Rob, or should we move on to our European banger?
Well, we got to pick it. That's the last thing we
That's
have
true.
to do.
Okay, well, I'll let you go first because I already know what you're picking.
Now, I'm going to be consistent with what I picked on our show, Everett, and I picked Brazil 3-2. because I think that this really could go either way. I think it's going to be a back and forth streaky game. Momentum's going to be big. The crowd's going to be big. Those emotional ebbs and flows, especially in a game that I really do think will be defined by long rallies, that can lead itself to a game that's defined by runs back and forth. But in a fifth set, it's, even as much as I love this American team and as much as I believe in what they're doing right now, I can't bring myself to pick against Gabi Guimaras in a fifth set.
No.
We don't have a player like that will like just refuse to lose in a fifth set situation in the Olympic Games, like she will not. So I know I'm picking against my own country, and maybe it'll work out for me as a sort of reverse jinx situation, but I've got Brazil in 5.
I've got Brazil in 4.
Okay.
I think this Brazilian team is just too good, too powerful.
They're very good.
They've got talent everywhere. They've got talent coming in off the bench, and more importantly, they have clear, defined rules. And even more importantly, I think they're putting their best product on the court. Right? There has been some arguments in terms of like, is this current lineup the best for Team USA when you've got Catherine Plummer and Kelsey Robinson Cook, who have anchored the outside position of the best club team in the world in Conigliano for the past little bit. We have yet to see that pairing. Maybe we will, but I think this Brazilian team is far too talented, far too good, and I think they're on a bit of a warpath. Especially with their men being out, I think that this is their time to really go there and potentially even win it all.
True. This is a revenge match for the same matchup that we saw in the men's side in the quarterfinals, where the USA beat Brazil 3-1. So maybe the women can get some revenge. And the last thing I will say about this is that this is a friendly reminder that this is the Olympic Games. And the Olympic Games are just a little bit different. And the United States has very direct experience of big time success 3 years ago today in the Olympic Games. Brazil has not won an Olympic gold medal since 2012.
And that's why I think Brazil is going to win. A, they have the revenge factor, and B, they're just straight up better.
Well, we both picked Brazil, so we will see what happens. Before we move on to the next one, Everett, we need to talk about one thing. There we go. That looks better. And that's to remind you guys to head over to shop.volleyballworld.com, because amongst other cool things that are over there, in the theme of the Olympic Games, you can get some official, like actual authentic game volleyballs from Mikasa for both the beach and the indoor. And you should do that because they're sweet. I mean, look at them. But also you can get like different levels all the way on down to the tiny little mini ones that people throw in the crowd sometimes, and you can get signatures from the athletes at either the Olympics or VNL next summer or wherever you're going to see great volleyball in person next. So head on over to shop.volleyballworld.com, pick up some of these, and just a really cool memento of the great tournament that has been the 2024 Olympics.
Honestly, I may have to get one, Rob, and just put it up in my room somewhere to remember how amazing this tournament's been done.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not done yet.
It is not. And I think, Rob, USA Brazil might be one of the best volleyball rivalries of all time.
It might
be. I don't know why I've been getting some flack on TikTok for even suggesting that. But yeah, USA Brazil is one of the best rivalries we have in volleyball. This one that we have here, Italy women and Intocchie women, is a rivalry that is quickly becoming one of the best in volleyball. It's two of the top countries who have two of the best pro leagues, who are now starting to develop some of the best players, who are now in for the first time ever playing in the Olympic semifinals for both countries.
Isn't it crazy? It's the first time ever for either team. Mostly for Italy.
Mostly for Italy, because they have such a long storied history, and of course they have so much success, especially on the men's side. But for Turkey, it's been a fantastic decade of growth for them. Really, like, their growth on the international stage of volleyball as a volleyball country has been tremendous. And really, like, it's been welcomed as well.
Yeah,
right?
What can happen when you put resources into the game of volleyball? Look at this.
Exactly. So now we're starting to see that fruition of Champions Leagues, and now, of course, making it all and VNL championships, having won the
European
VNL last
championships.
Year. Championships.
These are the last two VNL champions.
And these are the two last VNL champions. You're very, very right. But these are two teams, Rob, that know each other very, very well. They know each other from the club season. They know each other from the international season. They have that history of playing each other. Even as recently as what was a 5-set banger in the Eurovolley semis last year. So these are two teams who know each other very well. And I'm not going to say they don't like each other because I would never ever want to dispel any notions of animosity. And I actually think there's a lot of respect there. But they're on the court, they're competing head to head, and that has to come down to the fact that they have arguably the two most prolific scorers that we've ever seen in women's volleyball.
Very
In Paolo
possibly.
and Paolo Ogonu and Melissa Vargas. And for that reason, that this is going to be a heavyweight battle. This is going to be a heavyweight bout with blow after blow, haymaker after a haymaker, and I cannot wait.
I can't wait either. And they've actually played Everett even more recently than that. They played last week. Italy
Oh yeah,
stomped on Turkey 3-0 in pool play. Now, I think that in the Olympic Games, especially when you get to an elimination match, you can throw basically all recent history out the door because
yes,
it's completely different. This will be a completely different version of Turkey and a completely different stakes, and just everything around it is different than when they played a week ago in pool play. Just because both teams at that point already knew that they were mathematically advancing, and just like what that does to your mentality is different. So I'm expecting fireworks from this, and the two main scorers that you just talked about is where we have to lead this thing off. And I'll put up some of the stat comparisons here. Look at that, dead tied in kill percentage, exactly 44% kills for both teams. Now, significantly more efficient on the Italian side, but still, these teams are defined. I mean, they have the good supporting casts, and we'll certainly talk about them. But those elite scorers have to be talked about first. Melissa Vargas for Turkey has 116 points in this tournament, including a second greatest performance of all time, 42, to help Turkey beat China in a 5-set classic to even get to this point. And Paula Egonu, just fortunately for her own sake, I guess, hasn't even needed to be used that much. Like, she didn't play hardly at all in the pool play match against the Netherlands because Italy has a world-class backup opposite in Ekaterina Antropova, who came in that match and dropped 33. But Paula Egonu has been here before in at least basically every other stage. She is a player that can almost single-handedly win you a major tournament. See the European Championships, see the Italian Club League, see the Champions League. But neither of these players have done it at the Olympic Games stage yet. Melissa Vargas, this is her first chance. Paula Egonu, it is not. But now here they finally are, both these players and both these teams in the Olympic semifinals for the first time, guaranteed to play for a medal, but of what color and which one of these two players is going to put the better foot forward this evening is something I'm excited to watch.
Well, I think the way this match breaks down is kind of twofold. First and foremost is how well these two players play. Because if one of them doesn't show up, the game is over.
Yep.
Like for that respective team. That is the reality of this here. Maybe not for Italy. Actually, no. Scratch that. If one of them doesn't show up, the game isn't over because both of these teams actually do have legitimate options to go to in the opposite position.
Sort of.
Sort of. But like you're telling me that if something happens to Vargas or she's not playing good, Santarelli is not just going to be like, all right, Deacon and Hande Balladine, you're going to play on the left side. We're putting Karakurt on the right side. We've seen her play in the opposite position in this tournament, mostly in that double sub role early on. So you still have that ability there. But I do still think that the first and foremost, first key for both these teams winning is how well they're superstar players, and I think they are both acutely aware of the other. Of course,
Totally.
like they've played each other, but they're acutely aware of. They understand that this comes, this is them head to head. Like this is Magic against Bird. These are
That's how the legacies will be defined,
that's
without
how the
question.
legacies will be defined. If this was, a fight night poster, it would be Paula against Melissa, and that's absolutely awesome. But how their supporting cast plays around them is going to be a massive part to being on how high can they prop up their individual superstar. And I will say so far, Rob, that Italy's supporting cast has been playing better as a whole than Turkey is.
For sure.
Um, I do think that Turkey has that ability to play just like as good. We saw them make that run to the VNL and Eurovolley last year. They have that ability to play that all consuming game, but they are a little bit sketchy down the middle with them not necessarily having her best tournament so far. And Zagagunesh, as fantastic as she is, still not 100%. And she's been putting up some good numbers. I thought she's been very serviceable after, just coming in from an injury and just working back. But
Yeah,
she's
wasn't even
not
on the roster to start the tournament. Had to be
exactly
swapped in as the alternate.
right. If this is not the Olympics, she's not playing.
Probably not.
Is it right? So as fantastic as she is, she's still not quite there yet. Um, so it's going to be very interesting to see. Once again, talking about the middle of the court, I think Italy has a massive advantage down the middle of the court with their three-headed trio down the middle with Far, Danesi, and Lubian. We haven't seen Lubian much; it's been mostly Far and Danesi, but they can go to her. So if Italy's going to be dominating in that area, where can Turkey find some other things? Where can they find some other ways to be able to stay in their game? And for me, it's their defense. If Olga can be as good as she's been at times, and as good as we know that she can be on the defensive side and make those defensive plays, then I think Turkey has a real shot here.
Yeah, they're gonna have to dig balls. Both of these teams are gonna have to dig balls. Italy is a terrific defensive team, but if Turkey can hang around in that area, get balls into transition, and give Melissa Vargas an opportunity to take rips and score break points, that is basically the win condition for them, I think. Because other than serving, where Turkey has been tremendous this tournament, they've been very, very good. Turkey has not been nearly as good of a blocking team. Their 1.71 blocks per set is by far the lowest of the four teams remaining. I mean, both Brazil and USA like well above 3, and Italy 2.46. So for me, it's not if when you're talking about volleyball at the end of the day, you got to get break points from somewhere. You got to score points on your serve. That's going to come in a combination of 3 things: serving, blocking, and transition attacking. And what are the strengths of these two teams? I'd say transition attacking is massive for both. Serving, maybe a little advantage to Turkey. Blocking, a big advantage to Italy. So that transition offense on Turkey's side, I think, is going to have to be just that little bit better if they're going to have a real chance here. And that comes down to scoring ability from obviously the superstar opposites on both sides, but it's got to come from, I think, like one other player. If you get one other player legitimately scoring points on either side, that could make the difference here. For Italy, it's almost definitely Miriam Silla. For Turkey, that's a big question. I think they should, and I think they will start Ebrar Karakurt on the left side.
You have to.
She has not had a good tournament.
You have to.
But you have to start her over there, because if she is good tonight, she can and likely will help you in this match. You have to at least give her a shot, not just because of the production, but because of the attention that she demands from the opposing block and defense. Just the fact that she can score at her best will help Turkey's offense across the board until maybe she doesn't produce, and then you have to go a different direction. But I think you have to start her on the left side.
Yeah, I would agree. Karakurt has not been good so far this tournament, and she's only has 21 points over the course of what the 4 matches, with a match high 10 against the Dutch. That is not the Ebra Karakurt that we know her to be. And I think one of the big keys to their success last year was her ability to play on the left side. And if she has that ability to pull one of those performances out like she did last year, whether it was at VNL or Eurovolley or the Olympic qualifying tournament, that is really going to give Turkey a leg up here. If she has the ability to be a double-digit scorer for this team, and she doesn't need to be the player, right? And I thought that was the balance last year really, really well, whereas that she would pass a really good ball, Melissa Vargas would kill it, and everyone would celebrate together, and everyone would recognize that. I don't think she needs to be that go-to killer. If she can just be a double-digit scorer for this team and be solid on defense and bring that presence, her really emotional leadership on the court, especially with the way that Zaha and Eda Eldam have been struggling a little bit, her passion and her fire, on the court is what this team needs. This team, Turkey doesn't win without Ebra Karakurt on the floor, right? They
Not
need
against Italy. I agree.
not against Italy. They need her. So I'm really, really expecting her to step up today and have one of the biggest matches of her life, which she has the ability to. And if she does that, I think Turkey wins.
Yeah, another big reminder that this is the Olympic Games, and a lot of these matchups down the stretch when medals are being decided are going to be won between the ears. The mental factor and the mental preparedness that you need to succeed in these moments is just different. It's just different than in every other event. And I think Turkey really showed that in their quarterfinal win. I mean, Italy dominated Serbia. Like they didn't have to work nearly as hard. And I think that the fact that Turkey is very much battle tested. They went through a war against a good team to get to this point. They fought through injury. They fought through just about everything. I mean, Hande Baladin's a little banged up. Gizem Orge is a little banged up. Zara Gunesh is banged up. Cansu Özbay, I'm not even sure if she can play. Like this team is battle tested, and they're going to need to rely upon that mental just ability to dig really, really deep and somehow push a match like this over the finish line. They're going to have a chance. And speaking of the setter position, that's something I'm curious about. I mean, Alessia Oro is a top flight setter on the Italian side, not just at setting. I think her defense has been a difference making factor in this match as well. But keep an eye out for Elif Şahin and Elif Şahin's setter dump. That was a big deal in the quarterfinal. I mean, she literally won the match on one, but like when she came in, her ability to attack in the front court, I actually thought made a pretty big difference. And setter dump is a very legitimate attack option that I don't think enough teams use enough. And maybe that's something that Santarelli noticed and pointed out as a thing that China wasn't ready for in the quarterfinal match. And maybe he gives her a little bit like, hey, everyone's gonna the middle block
Whoa.
is gonna be shifted. The
Let's
middle.
not bring this like let's give some credit here to Leaf Shaheen. I'm pretty sure she's a good enough volleyball player to recognize the gap,
Well,
the
yeah,
gap in the
but
block.
like
Okay,
Santarelli
so
might be telling her like, hey, when the
well,
middle
no, no,
block
no.
is shifted over to the left, when everyone's expecting the ball to go to Vargas.
As no, that's not a center. Like the setter is going to recognize that way before the coach recognizes that. And it's not like that's something that we see often. But you do the setter battle is going to be interesting for me, especially with the injury to Uzbekistan last time around. So is if she's healthy, I think we see both setters. I think we
Yeah,
see. I think we might even see a double sub. From Tokye as well. But I think it could be very, very interesting to see if which setter they go if Ozbe Chansu is healthy.
another very interesting storyline that I love about this matchup is that the head coach of Turkey, Daniele Santarelli, is married to Italy's starting libero in Monica De Gennaro. So
I
a
always
family,
forget about that.
yeah, isn't that great? A family battle here. One of them will play for a gold medal at the expense of the other.
That
So
is
isn't that
that is
crazy?
tough. Yeah, that is tough. That is very, very crazy. And I don't know if we've ever had a situation like that before
Not
at the
much.
Olympic Games. That that's pretty wild. Hope I just hope that they do it respectfully.
Oh, they of course they
Right.
will.
So that would be the big thing for me here.
So Everett, I think we've set the stage. We've talked about the major storylines, talked about the major players, talked about the fact that this is the Olympic Games, and one of these two teams is going to play for the gold medal for the first time ever. Remember,
Ever.
neither of these two teams have ever made it to even this point, and one of them will play for gold. Who is it?
Rob, I think that this year we have seen one team really dominate and one team really be part of the cream of the crop. And really, you talk about adversity. We don't really need to go. Uh, you can find some of our other content to go into some of the drama that Italy has gone through over the past year, and their ability to bounce back, and their ability to just be dominant. And we saw their ability to go out there and win a tournament by doing so in the VNL finals.
In
Um,
Julio Velasco's
and
first week of preparation after taking the head
exactly,
coaching job with this team, they won a major tournament.
Really?
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
not
that he took over at about the new year, and after the Champions League final, there was like a week, but before VNL started,
yeah,
Ilya
okay. Well,
Velasco had.
it's not like he didn't. It's not like he had a week. He had like maybe a week of preparation. But I think when it comes to Velasco and getting this Italian team, I've said it many teams before. It's not like you don't have to do anything revolutionary. You just need to put the blocks in the places that they go.
I
Maybe
agree with that.
the previous person was trying to be too fancy with it, and you know what? When you've got the blocks to make a pyramid, just make a damn pyramid. But yeah, you're trying to derail my pick here, so I'd appreciate if you butt out. Thank you very much. Um, I, for these reasons, Rob, with Italy being as good as they've been, and we've saw that progression throughout the group stage or the preliminary stage of the VNL, really dominate at the VNL finals, and they've just cleaned the floor with the competition so far. For that reason, I'm picking Turkey to win this match. I think
Wow.
that this Turkish team has opened something up after their win against China. I think that this Turkish team knows how to win. They've won recently. And mostly, Rob, I think that it's really, really, really hard to beat a team twice in one tournament.
I
I
agree
think
with
it's
that.
really, really, really hard to beat a team twice in one tournament. And so far, Italy's been perfect, right? So far, Italy has been one of the best teams here. And it's really, really hard to go through an Olympic Games perfect. And so, for that reason, my head tells me that I want to pick Italy. Everything on the stat sheet, everything leading up to it is telling me pick Italy, but my gut and my soul is telling me to pick Turkey, and I think we're going to see something special from them today.
Okay. Wow, I was not expecting that. And on the other side, I'm definitely picking Italy. I think I've got Italy 3-1. I think that if this gets to a fifth set, it will become a battle between Agonu and Vargas. And if that happens, that is a total coin flip that could completely go either way. When it comes down to a fifth set scenario, again, with those two great players going against one another, and everybody will know that the ball is going to either one when the ball is on that side of the net, that is totally 50-50. But up until that point, I really think that Italy is the better team. I really think that Italy is the better team. Their block system is better. They're better on defense. I think they have a little bit more ability to score around Agonu. And I really like their double sub. We are going to see that double sub with Combi and Antropova late in sets tonight, and that will make a difference for Italy without question. I've got Italy 3-1 because I think that they are going to be able to exude a level of control and just a little bit more balance that will be enough to hold Turkey at sort of an arm's length and get this thing done in four. Because I think both teams know here that if it goes five, it's the scariest situation for both teams. And I think Italy knows
I
that and
want
is.
this to go five.
I want it to too. It'd be
That's all.
unbelievable.
That's I want Turkey to win in 5 sets because I know that gives us the most volleyball and the most
Drama.
Yes, yes, I want it.
Well,
I want Vargas and Agonu both in 40 points.
very possible.
I want them just ripping it to each other. Yes. The thing is that there's no athletes like Tiana Boskovic, or sorry, not Tiana Boskovic. I apologize. Melissa Vargas or Paolo Egonu. Um, and like this is where like greatness shines. Like once again, this is Magic against Bird. This is Crosby against Ovechkin. This is Messi against Ronaldo. This is Agonu versus Vargas, and I can't wait.
Legacies are defined at the Olympic Games. And as much as many great battles as these two have already had against each other in their relatively very young careers, none will be bigger or more legacy defining than this. So I can't wait to watch it. I've got Italy in 4. Everett has Turkey in 5. Let's see. Why can't I get this aligned correctly? There we go. I know what I'm doing over here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have Olympic semifinal volleyball coming up in like 15 minutes. Brazil versus the United States in just about 15 minutes at the top of the hour. It will not be shown here on YouTube. It will not be shown on Volleyball World TV. You have to figure out where it's being shown by the rights holder for the Olympic Games in your country. Hopefully, you already know that because hopefully you've already been watching the Olympics throughout this tournament. But that is where the games will be shown. We've got Brazil versus the United States coming up. Turkey versus Italy, the nightcap. I cannot wait to watch it to see who will play for gold on Sunday and for bronze on Saturday. Thanks for watching, Everett. We'll be back around the medal matches to break them all down and talk about more volleyball before this Olympic Games comes to a close.
Yeah, we will. I'm excited for that. But before that, Rob, I'm so excited for these two matches. It's still pretty early here in Canada. We're just about to hit 10 a.m. So I'm going to be grabbing myself a quick coffee, going to watch this one, and then going to watch some beach action a little bit too.
Ooh.
Hey, Canada in the semifinals, baby. We're still alive in one of these volleyball competitions. We're not talking about it here right now, but I'll be watching Canada take on the Swiss in about 2 hours, or no, 1 hour now, an hour and a little bit.
Excited for you. Enjoy the games, everybody. Go USA.